Thank you, everybody,
Smyrna.
for joining us. For those of you that don't know me, I am Harry Kierbow. I'm the Senior Director of Paid Social at CINC, and I'm joined by James Terry, who is my counterpart on the search side. And then Dan Lott, who's the big boss of it all, was actually CINC's, the client marketing team's original employee, and I believe is now the longest tenured employee at CINC. So Dan knows what he's talking about. He's built this program from the ground up, and really excited to have you guys with us and have all the clients joining us. So I don't know if you guys want to say something nice to the people, introduce yourselves, or if we should just move on. You let me know.
Well, thanks for joining us. This will be a great experience. We're in for a treat. It's gonna be the first that you're in. This is the first of the monthly office hours. So we've done webinars in the past. This is gonna be very similar to that, except for it's called office hours, and it's gonna be monthly, but it'll be less structured. So we're gonna be answering your questions that you provided and stuff like that. So thanks for joining.
100%. Welcome, everybody. I'm excited about what we're doing. This being the first, I think Harry set this webinar up to run monthly through the rest of the decade. So we've got 5 years to
Job
hang
security.
out. Job security. But it's going to be, like Dan said, very, I think, laid back. We've got a couple slides in the beginning I think Harry's going to run through, but just kind of a fireside chat. We'll be keeping an eye on the chat here. So if you've got questions, I love the don't just spectate, participate kind of thing. But as most of you know, as you registered for the event, we asked for questions. So we have a great list of questions that you guys submitted as well. So that's what we'll be mostly focusing on and going through what was put in already. So I'm excited about it. Looking forward to getting kicked off. Thank you all for joining us for this first run.
I do hope you guys know we have a ton of resources that are available to you. We have bi-weekly conversion calls with our trainers, which are open calls like this, where you work through objections and scripting. We have the monthly online conversion day, which is also a really good opportunity it's a 3 or 4 hour class where we go through our scripting, and then there's an online power hour where you can call leads and win prizes. So there's a lot of good opportunity there. And that's also something you can see those webinars, those events at cincommunity.com. That's CINC immunity, immunity, community. I've confused this. I'm sorry. It's CINC CINC.com.
Okay.
So all the events are there. You can register for those there. And then also your account manager is a really great option. And, take advantage of those training opportunities because they are run by, a lot of them are run by our clients who have become very successful and have come on to coach other people. So with that said.
But while you're talking about the different resources you have at CINC, you also have a dedicated account manager for advertising.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were going to touch on this later, but they would be happy to talk to you. So just talk to your regular account manager and say like, hey, I want to shake up my ads, or I just want my ads explained to me. And your dedicated account manager will be, the meeting will happen where you'll be able to talk to him on the phone and just ask him questions, because a lot of it's kind of confusing depending on how in the weeds you want to get. So it's always good to get a good overview on your performance of your account and what the goals are and stuff like that.
Yeah, Tony, that song was by Stompin' Tom Connors. It's called The Hockey Song. It's great. All right, so what would a new webinar series be without some production? So we're going to see if our quick 20-second video will play here, and then we'll go through some of the performance from the past year. I'm happy to say we did not lose one participant during that video. We actually gained two, and we just gained another one. So whoever just came, thank you very much. And yeah, we're very happy that you're here. So I see we're already getting some activity from the chat. Thank you guys so much. We do want this to be interactive. We do have some questions that were submitted when people registered. So we have some of those that we'll also go over. But before we do want to talk just very briefly about the performance of the campaigns over the past 2 years or so, because this has been a very volatile time, especially going back to COVID, which really reset internet lead generation for real estate. So, what are we seeing now? Wanted to go through that for a little bit. I know Dan. Oh, sorry. I know Dan has some really good information on the Google side. That scared me. I hope it didn't scare you.
All right. Thank you, Harry. Just a couple slides. Since we're meeting in January, it's a good opportunity to look at last year's performance as well as the quarter by quarter performance, just to capture the most recent trends. All right. So if you look at this is the cost per lead. This is for Google Buyer, which is the largest segment of our spend. So this is kind of the bellwether of what we look at. It's very exciting. In that 2024, the cost per lead went down, which is really surprising because it's kind of bucks the industry trends in that the cost per click in Google went up, at least in 2023, went up 50%. I don't know what it is, like industry wide. So the fact that in 2023, we went up a little bit, and then 2024, we actually went down, I think it was around 10%. So that's a very good thing. First time in 3 years that our cost per lead went down. And it's within like the historic pricing bands, which means that it's within like the $5 to $7 range. So if you look, this is over a long time. So if you look at it, like the cost per lead, all but 2 years has been within $5 and $7. So, and we've accumulated so much data and like we've established these processes that, even though the cost per click that Google is charging goes up, we're still able to, manage to keep it within the $5 to $7 range, which is pretty good. So you don't see the 2020 was the COVID that helped the cost per lead a lot, and then 2012 I wasn't there yet, so that's why it was so expensive. That's when I started.
So I was wondering what the event in 2013 was. I was going to ask if it had anything to do with the housing bubble, but I couldn't remember the timing. But it was actually you.
It was me. It was me. I just like put that in there because it helps my self-esteem. So,
as I recall,
although James started in 2013.
Yeah,
but that was November though. So
it was right at the end. Yeah, it was basically Thanksgiving.
That was me.
Right, cool.
Me.
So Dan, with the cost per lead trending down or staying fairly flat over a large window like that, how much, and this might be throwing a curveball, you might not have the exact answer off the top of your head, but I think our clients would know, how much of the home values changed over the last 10 years?
That's a great question, James. I don't know the answer to that. Thanks for bringing up a question that I could have easily found the answer to and acted like I knew what I was talking about. But we have something called the lead value index, which takes into consideration the home value and the cost per lead to figure out what are the markets that are the best deals for ad spend. Because I do it every quarter, and every quarter the number one is Honolulu, because the cost per lead in Honolulu is really cheap. It's like $5 a lead, and the home prices are around $1 million. So yeah, we should have more clients in Honolulu, but maybe they have other stuff to do. But anyway, so home prices have gone up significantly, like many times since 2013. So the lead value index has gone up significantly since over the last 10 years, just because home home prices have gone up a lot, and cost per lead has been pretty stable. And that's the goal. That's the goal.
Well, I think this shows too the value of the work that the team does. Of I mean, if you just look at the search engine results page, if you just look at that over the last 10 years and how much that has changed, the clients haven't been able or haven't had to keep abreast of that. That's something that we've done to keep the lead cost flat. And I don't think, whenever I look at competitors versus us, the cost per lead is always lower, especially on the search side. And I think that is a testament to the work that you do, Dan. And remembering that my year-end review is coming up, I felt like now is the appropriate time to tell you that. But no, I mean,
Great point,
I
Harry.
do think it I do think that it shows the work that the team is doing. And we are using our expertise to drive the cost down or keep it flat. Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, and a lot of that's also it's based on we've invested in a lot of technology and stuff like that, and you can see where the dips are. Those corresponded with some big changes in processes and technology improvements, like the one in 2017 and 2019, were based on huge. We spent like lots and lots of money and time on helping, scale some of our processes, and they worked out. So this over the last couple of years, it actually went up. I was very bummed to see that the fourth quarter went up, but it was only by like a dime. So you could tell it was so quarter 4 2023 versus quarter 4 2024. That's how I look at stuff. Like quarter over quarter, year over year. Year over year, the same quarter, and so we were up 10 cents. So it's not a huge jump, but I was really bummed when that happened, and it was like 3 cents over what quarter 4 of 2022 was. So So anyway, just in general, during the quarter, the fourth quarter is when you see the highest cost per leads. Then first quarter it goes down a lot, stays stable for the rest of the year until the fourth quarter, then it jumps up again. And so that happens every year. And that's just because the search traffic goes down a lot in November and December.
And so this is a similar chart just showing the social side of things. Really, we saw the same trend on the social side. I mean, as you can see, the overall cost per lead on social is generally lower than it is on search. We saw the same trend this year compared to last year. This year, the cost per lead was higher on average than it was last year until November. They just about equaled, and then December, the cost per lead dropped by almost 10% compared to December of last year. So, I thought that was really interesting. I was wondering if, we keep seeing this, or we keep believing, we know there's this pent up demand because, as one of my favorite lines from Alvaro is always housing is, an inelastic need, right? There will always be people that need to move. Maybe there will be reasons for people not to move who are kind of in that gray area. But I did think that it was very interesting that the cost per lead flipped in December in terms of, not following that trend, because that's a large drop from November to December to flip that trend. And I thought that was great. I think a lot of that comes from, the technology that Dan's been asking or been talking about that we've invested in. We've invested in some major social automation this year, which has freed our team up for making building accounts more efficient, which allows us more time to optimize accounts and keep that cost per lead low and be on calls with clients and improve campaign performance. We've also invested in a new ad type called team listing ads, which has been very successful for clients. And I've seen some questions in here around what's coming this year. We'll continue to invest in that. We have some exciting tests going right now around recruiting, things like that. So we're definitely continuing to push. And I think that's one of the reasons that this cost per lead dropped. But I did wonder if, is this a signal of that pinup demand is maybe getting online, or it could also be, on the social side, just decreased competition around Christmas for ad spend. Or it could be like, who knows, maybe Meta is showing more ads on threads now, and that's dropping the cost per impression, which is dropping the cost per lead. But so I'm not exactly sure why this happened, and I do hope the trend continues. But I just thought that was really interesting. And then comparing search and social, one of the things that I thought was really interesting was, they do pretty much mirror each other, but Q3 is always really interesting on the social side, Q3 and Q4, because that's when advertisers on Facebook and Instagram are really increasing ad buys for Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that kind of stuff on the social side. So that is, I don't want to say it's a phenomenon, but phenomenon, but it is something that happens every year, and that comes from increased competition on the network. That's why the cost per lead dropped so much in 2020, because so many people dropped out of advertising altogether, because you couldn't get someone to your brick and mortar. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting looking at it in Q3 and Q4 for Facebook versus the search side, where sometimes search drops off in cost per lead or improves in Q3. Social usually starts that uptick in Q3 and continues through Q4 and then drops off in Q1.
But I guess the one takeaway I would take from this is that the Facebook cost per lead is always lower than Google, or social is always a little bit less expensive than search, maybe a couple bucks or so. So that's something to keep in mind when you diversify your ad spend. You'll get more leads on the Facebook side.
Well, I do think that that's an important thing to mention here is, why we do recommend diversification and a budget on the search and social side. We do see the differences because I think one of the things that's unique about CINC is we own that entire lead journey. So we target the ads, we hold that data in the CRM. We can see the pipeline stages. So we really understand that. So I don't remember where I was going. I forgot.
Good stuff, Harry. I think James is going to be talking about diversification coming
about
up.
Diversification.
If we had our agenda, if you were looking at the agenda, Harry, you would see
the show sheet. All right, fine. I'm just jumping ahead, but I do think the reason I went into that is we would expect leads from search to close earlier than leads from social, but leads from social do close, and the return is about the same when you look at the cost per lead. And if you're going to be a realtor in 2 years, you should diversify your ad spend. Complete with a wait, mail time. Complete with a lost train of thought. All right, so that's all the prepared stuff that we have. We do have some questions that were submitted, and we'll be looking at the chat as well to pull some questions. But I'm going to try and stop sharing my screen without turning this webinar off. Feedback around that.
This is a question that somebody, when they registered, they asked. I have paraphrased it. Why do you not block the leads that have incorrect contact information? That's a great question. All right. And now I'm going to talk about the new Real Verify program, which is, I think, the best improvement we have made to the CRM in many years. That's just me, because it directly has to do with leads. So I'm more interested in it. And it showed that around 70% of leads are verified. What does verified mean? Verified means that somebody has they've entered their phone number. It generates a text to their phone, and then they've clicked on a link in that on their phone, which can only happen, which makes it verified, which generates a little blue click next or blue check mark um, next to the their name in the lead dashboard, and it just proves that that is the right phone number for that person. There's no doubt. It's 100%. If it's a blue check mark, it's 100% that is the correct phone number for that person. And actually, like, the end result is 70% of leads are verified. Probably the best thing about it is it starts out at around 60%, and then there's 10% of people who like entered in phony information or maybe their landline, something like that, and then it generated a text, and they're like, oh nuts, I'm not gonna be able to access it, so I'm gonna have to change my phone number to the one that generates a text. So that increased it from 60 to 70. So the lead quality is better now. It is now 70% of leads, they're all verified, phone number is correct, and they can receive text. That's very important. Being able to receive text is very important. And when I was thinking about this little point today, I was like, because I guess for a while we didn't switch everybody over, and then at the end we did like a blanket switch over unless people opted out. So some people might not know what this is. So if you see that blue check mark, that means that the phone number is definitely right. That does not mean that if it doesn't have a blue check mark, it's not right. That's one of the things to be, because if there's a lot of times, like, I don't have my phone. Well, I have my phone here now, but like if I was doing it and it's like, well, I don't I don't really care to do it, and like, oh, okay, I can still see my property information good enough. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna go to the car and get my phone. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the 30% are bad, but the 70%, you can rest assured that that is the right phone number. So um that's the best thing, and that's anyway, that 70% is a lot higher. Like when they started doing this project, I was like, oh, we're gonna get around 25%, and it's gonna be bad. But this is good. And then, Harry, do you have any thoughts on why even these bad leads are not all that bad? Any thoughts at all, Harry?
Thank you for that totally natural and unplanned segue, Daniel.
Yeah, okay.
No, I think this is always a really interesting question to me too. What we see from the data side is that it is a numbers game, and the people that are converting the best are I guess, seeing the most success with CINC. They're not converting 10% of leads or anything like that, right? So we see it as the more at bats that we can get. And then we think once the lead is in the system, we have the best follow up. We've released updates to our AI, which is vastly improved from what it was, and taking contextual clues and creating unique messages to people now. So I think that that's something that's really really exciting. Even if forewarned matched the number, although sometimes the name doesn't match. So I do think on the verified side, Joe, I see your comment, and McKinsey. So bad numbers, a number that wasn't in service, that's really strange because we send a 4-digit code to the number that someone has to enter on the site to get that blue check mark. So that might be a lead to, that's interesting. And now I do think, Joe, you bring up a good point, and I actually saw this in a review about the CRM recently. And yes, we do, read those and try and improve on them. But one of the comments was that I got a verified lead with a name that wasn't real and wasn't very nice. So like the name itself a verified lead doesn't mean that the name is correct. A verified lead means that someone at that phone number received a 4-digit code, went to the website, and entered that code. So that to us is the best indication that we've ever had, and I think that any competitors have, of whether or not this phone is verified. But then the question becomes, why do you let people in who don't verify? Or why do you let people in who have obviously incorrect information? The reason for that is we see that those people convert. It may take, if you ever look in the Facebook group, we'll see posts of leads that have been in the system for 5, 6, 7 years that entered with all bad information, and then eventually convert from an email or something like that. So that's why we allow them in. And, the thought there is that the system will nurture them. Most of them will probably never be ready. But if you get one of those people that converts on a $500,000 house, I mean, that's money that you would not have had. That just means that person's not ready. They'll go somewhere and look at properties.
Yeah, and like that person
And
comes back to the site and is looking at properties, and the AI starts communicating with them, or some of our, other automation drip campaigns or something starts communicating with them, and then they're ready to buy 2 years later, and they they change their phone number. They say like, okay, yeah, okay, don't call me at this phone number, the dummy phone number, and my name isn't Ron Burgundy. It's something else. It's about
I'm Ron Burgundy.
and so yeah, so they'll change their information like on the fly when they've set up an appointment with your AI, or whoever that is. So it doesn't really
because
harm anything. So there could be a benefit of somebody changing their information, and it happens all the time. And you see, we hear all these stories from our clients who like, oh, 8 years ago this person registered as Donald Duck and they just bought $1 million house. So
And Dan, you just said something important. I think it doesn't really harm anything it being there. I think, and a
Right.
lot of our clients might not realize this. What we're running are called PPC, or pay per click campaigns. The money went to Google or went to Meta when they clicked on the ad initially, maybe up to 7 years ago, like you said. Whether they registered on the site, whether they gave us any information, a right number, a wrong number, the money was sunk already. So once it's in the dashboard, we'll do everything we can to get them to come back to the site, to re-engage, that kind of thing. But because the initial question was, why do we not block leads with incorrect numbers? If we block them, they're gone, and there's no potential for extracting any further value from it, even though the cost was the same. So that's why we don't block them. We think that as long as they're there, there's a chance. You're telling me there's a chance, even if it's a slim one. But those are some of my favorite stories. People that are like, oh, registered 1,200 days ago on the site and just converted. And I love when people put those kind of success stories on the Facebook page. So just wanted to say
Well, we
that the cost is sunk at the click. Everything after that is how much value can we get from that initial click and interaction?
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's right on. There is some interesting comments about some services people are using in the chat. If you guys don't see it, Forewarn is one that a lot of people are talking about. Let's see. Oh, and I do see Joel Mick. Is that Joel McHale? It's I don't know, it's cutting off. But I do see Joel said 25% of my leads are saying they did not sign up for my site. How are you scrubbing them prior to verifying these leads? So um depends on the ad type you're running. If these leads are coming from social, it's possible that they didn't sign up on your site. They sign up on what's called a lead ad form, which is actually native to Facebook or Instagram. It's tailored to mobile traffic, which is about 70% of the traffic that we receive in terms of leads, anyway. Or no, not even leads, just all traffic on social, which is why we use that ad type. But with that ad type, they actually sign up on Facebook or Instagram, and then they're brought to your site. Um, we don't really we don't really scrub the leads in terms of the information that they enter. There is some basic blocking that we don't allow to be used to create a lead. But again, it goes back to what James and Dan and I were saying. We see it as a numbers game. That person who cares enough to register, there's some reason, right, that they're registering. They may not buy for 5 years. But, wouldn't you rather them be in your system than someone else's? And, we've seen competitors that try to increase lead quality by only giving you leads that say their time frame is within X, right? And I don't know that those competitors do that anymore because I don't know how effective it is. And we've looked at that too. A lot of times when we put more barriers in place to give you leads that appear higher quality, at least at registration, the only thing it does is give you less leads. The quality is not necessarily increased, and it is a numbers game. And the CINC system is the best in the industry at following up. I think I'm biased, but
all right. And just moving on, because I want to get to as many questions as possible. Harry, I have a single house that I want to advertise. Is there a way I can do that? Is it possible to advertise do you offer a sort of advertising channel or a way to advertise of a single property? How does that work?
Great question, Dan. Great question. So kind of to step back and to make this answer longer than it needs to be. The answer is yes. Okay. But, I think listing marketing is something that is becoming more and more relevant. When I first got here almost 10 years ago, when I was but a wee lad and didn't have a gray beard, I was, Gandalf the Brown then. Now I'm Gandalf the Gray. But anyway, we used to only run ads that had pictures of listings. What we saw was a lot of people clicking through saying, I just wanted to know the price, right? But they weren't viable leads. So we changed away from that to more of kind of an idea-based homes for sale eligible for VA or FHA or new construction properties. And that actually increased the lead cost, but we felt it increased the lead quality as well, as our data showed that too. And so now I think with the contraction of the market and how quickly people have to move on listings or have had to move on listings, that listing marketing has become even more effective. And it drives urgency in a way that maybe an ad for FHA eligible homes in a state or a city don't. So I do think listing ads are very good to be running right now. We have 3 different types of those, right? So we have team listing ads, which promote all of your listings. We have Listcast, which is a remarketing style product, which promotes listings similar to the ones that people have been looking at on your site. And then if you have a specific property you'd like to feature, you can also reach out to us and we can create an ad specific to that listing. I think in terms of cost per lead, these generally have some of the best cost per leads across the portfolio. Of course, it depends on the property and like what the price is compared to the average, the quality of photos. But yes, this is a very good option to use. So if you do have a listing you'd like to promote, please let us know at support@cincpro.com. That'll come to our department. And you have to be the one in charge of the ad spend for your site to do that. But we can, certainly run those ad types. It is very effective. A lot of clients also have videos. If you have a video that you'd like to use to promote the listing, we can do that as well. You just need to send us the file. The file is what allows it to autoplay on Facebook and Instagram, and Facebook and Instagram hate it when you leave Facebook and Instagram. So that's why we can't use like a YouTube link or something like that. We need the actual video file. So the answer is yes.
It's something that we've been offering and we just don't publicize it all that much. And I think we should do like a 1-page or something. But so anyway, just ask us about it, especially if you have, a house you're trying to sell. It's a good way to sell your house that you're trying to sell a house. But yes, Harry.
One of the questions is, if I create a listing landing page on CINC, can I pay you to run a Google campaign? For listing campaigns, we run that on social. The reason for that is there's a few. The targeting on social is proactive. So we're telling Facebook and Instagram to show this ad to someone based on where they are or whether or not they've interacted with your site in the past and what their demographic profile looks like and what other activities they've been taking online. Also with social, well, and on the search side, we just don't see people search for, we just don't see people search for a specific address as much, right? And so the search
Exactly.
volume for a listing ad would likely not be good. Also on the social side, and I know there are companies that say they do this. I don't I don't expect it would be effective, you know,
I mean,
and that's why we don't offer it. And also on the social side, there's a visual component. So you can use that video, you can use those images of the property. And that is one of the things that really drives the effect, I think. And there's also, you can display the information. So we have the information like the price of the listing, the beds, the baths, the square footage, the address. So someone can go and look that up if they really don't want to sign up. We give them all the relevant information in the hopes that somebody that signs up is interested in that property. So that's why we do it the way we do and why we run it on social only.
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
another question that ties in with that. Just like with search, there's a lot of things that search can't do. Like as Harry said before, like veterans was one of the VA loans was one of the types of ads that would run on Facebook. But like we'd have people say like, "Hey, I'm trying to get I want to advertise on Google and do just get veterans." So people don't search like, "Hey, buy a house in Atlanta. I'm a veteran." Like you like that's not what people search for. And so that's one of the limitations of Google, especially recently, where they have housing, what is it, housing employment, and they've
HEC.
yeah, the you're not allowed to do targeting by demographics on Google. So anything like that, demographics. If you want to appeal to a different demographic, you can't do it on Google. You can do it on Facebook. Well, as in a way by doing a VA loan as opposed to like doing a demographics targeting for veterans. And then also that ties in with the other point that this is something that we get asked all the time, and it never really I don't know, is that we can do non-English language ads on Facebook. We can't do those on Google just because our website is in English. So if you want to appeal to people who speak a language other than English, Harry knows every language there is. He's like the Rosetta Stone, or he'll put up ads in whatever language you want, and the cost per lead generally is lower, from what I understand. I'm just making this up. Is that true, Harry?
Well, it depends on it. So
Depends
like
on the language, I guess. Too.
Calgary is a really good example because Calgary has a very diverse population. So, ads in or certain sites like in Texas or California with Spanish do really well. So if there's an area with a large population that speaks a certain language that you would like to appeal to, we can create ads in that language. And then one of the things that people do on their Facebook or Instagram profiles is they set a default language. So a lot of times that can help us if there's a large enough population in the area, that can help us kind of cut through the noise and drive a lower cost per lead. And then, you're following up with that person in that language. So that can be a really good option as well. One of the questions that we got was I want to advertise for a change of life that correlates to, thank you, Terry. I mean, change of life. Right. Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought you meant, Scott. So like downsizing, pregnancy. So that's one of the things that you used to be able to do. Dan talked briefly about housing employment and credit regulations that was instituted on Facebook and Instagram in I believe 2017 or 2018. So whenever you're advertising for an opportunity for housing employment or credit, you have a very restricted amount of Facebook's demographic options that you can use. I mean, before this, you could say, I want to show this to moms with two kids between the ages of 40 and 50 who have a gray minivan and are likely to buy a new one, based on how long. Or there was even a likely to sell in their house interest type, which never worked. Never worked, by the way. It just increased cost per lead. But with HEC, those options are much reduced. So I would say, I think the change of life is a really good idea. We do that a lot with VA as well for PCSing, permanent change of station. Um, so I think that can be a really good opportunity. I think those people would still be captured by a lead just for homes for sale in an area. You're excluding less people. So you may also get someone who is you may also get someone who is not in that specific bucket, right? But they still want to buy a house. Like, I think that would be okay. Also, one of the really powerful things on social is customer list advertising. So if you have a list of, maybe people who are likely to buy based on how long they've been in their current home or something like that, if you have email and phone number, we can create custom audiences from that and show ads specifically to those people. And we can also create what's called lookalike or special ad audiences. I'd have to look at that. That may be being removed as well, or may have been removed. But we can show those ads specifically to people. The larger the list, the better. Because if you think about it, the algorithm is trying to show ads to people in their limited space. So the more opportunities it has to show, the better. I hope that answers your question.
And that kind of stuff, it exists on social, and like a version of it exists in search, but it doesn't work. Like, it would be like, well, the list you have to upload has to have 10,000 people in it, and then it matches, and you match 500 and it's not big enough. So that's one of the good things about social is that flexibility. And well, I see it's noon, so.
Well, Scott said, what info do you need? Phone number, preferably mobile, email address, and then the larger the list, the better, right? So like when I'm saying large, I'm hoping for thousands of opportunities to match. Do we need to make sure our Google page is deeded up?
And
James, you can talk. I've been running over.
I just wanted to jump in because one of the questions, and we might address this more at the next conversation, but I'll do my quickest promotion possible. One of the questions we did get a lot of at the registrations was, what one thing should we be doing? And I think that's really valuable to at least throw in an answer for quickly as I can. So I'll do my quickest promotion possible for our online conversion day training. We call it OCD internally, but I'm a big guy on like systems and consistency and things like that. And getting back to the basics, right? And so our online conversion day is not quite monthly. I'd like to see them be monthly, but they are 3 hours, similar webinars to this, 2 hours of training of scripting. A lot of people on here are probably familiar with what those trainings look like, but I feel like a lot of times they're talked about in a go learn what you need, make the calls, and you walk away with everything. It's not a one and done situation, those online conversion days. I don't think they should be utilized that way, is my point. We do them consistently. There's no charge. They're online. A lot of our in-person training or a lot of our live training are in certain cities, and they are, face to face. The online conversion day, anybody can log in and be a part of, and you can make that just a part of your monthly routine for your entire team. And then everybody is just getting that basic reset of getting back to the scripts. I promise it will feel almost redundant at some point, but if you're hiring new agents, they need to hear it again. And if you've got some veterans, again, going back to the basics is super, super valuable. And that's third hour, the hour of calling, going through, implementing everything that was put in place, going through the dashboard, making the dials. And in some cases, in 1 hour of dialing, clients are getting 4 or 5 appointments set. So making the online conversion day training an ongoing part of your team's monthly routine, I think is one of the most important things that can be done. And while it's funny to have two answers to what's the one thing that that we should be doing, um, we've talked a lot about. Harry jumped on the diversifying your ad spend, right? Online conversion day and that like part of your team's system. That's what you can implement from our side, from a lead gen perspective, diversifying the lead spend, having leads in the dashboard from different sources who are going to be coming through and ready to have a conversation closer to the buying decision, all that kind of stuff. It makes sense to have those leads from different sources. We've talked a lot about it. So I just wanted to hit on those two things and talk about the online conversion day specifically. I talked to our director of our live training just before this meeting. Our next online conversion day is to be announced. It's not yet the date is not yet set. They were putting a lot of their other, again, the travel and the things like that, in-person events. But the CINC community link that I think Misty put out there and updated everybody with will be updated with the exact dates. So keep an eye on that. And Harry just pulled up our future office hours dates, which are set. So just wanted to say that the one thing for next year, I think online conversion day and as an ongoing part of the schedule.
And we did I mean, we've still got almost 80 people on here. So there is one more question that we received. That I wanted to hang on one second. It was around. It was around. See, leads? I did have it, Dan. I did have it. So it was around trending leads. The CINC, Henry, the CINC community link is CINC, CINC community.com. Look at how much better I did that, Dan. Me adapting.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know if I actually have, I don't know if I can get to the sheet. I'm going to take down the share real quick. One of the questions that we got was around trending leads. So I'm not an expert in this. You know, this is definitely something that you can talk to the support side about, and they can give you more information. There's also a link in the help center that goes through trending leads. And here, I'll drop it in the chat real quick. But trending leads, so I think, you know, one of the things
we just launched.
Yeah, one of the things we've really been focusing on is surfacing quality indicators within the platform, because, you know, I think we have focused for a long time on lead generation and just kind of brute lead cost. And now, you know, we are our much bigger focus for us is increasing your conversion within the CRM. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to do a better job. I didn't make this. It sounds like I did, but I do like the idea. I think one of the best ways to do that is to do a better job of alerting clients when people take actions that make sense within the CRM. So one of those new dashboards is contact requested. I think that is pretty straightforward. Those are leads that have requested that you contact them. And those are good leads. I know that our training team has adjusted their training to incorporate that. I think that's a really good tool to use. The trending leads is, I believe, released since contact requested. But I did get some information on that. Whoever asked that, I believe it was Deborah. So Deborah, if you're still around, this is for you, Deborah, and anyone else who's interested. So trending leads show you the leads who have taken some action on the site, but have not specifically requested contact. If you look at that help article that I sent, it goes through these. But just so you know, these are leads who have claimed their home in Home Pulse, updated their saved search, engaged with the AI, shared a listing from your site, used the mortgage calculator, updated their personal information in their profile, or have been active on the site for 5 of the last 14 days, viewed the same home 3 times in the last 5 days, or have favorited 3 properties in the last 14 days. So that's how leads are being added to that trending leads section. And again, it's an effort to better highlight to you, how should I structure my day to day? Who are the leads that make the most sense to call so I can make the most money I can from CINC, which is our goal.
And that was a very a question about a product, and I know that we've talked about this being the first of these conversations, either having maybe guest speakers from the product team come in and handle product questions, or from the support team. A lot of the questions in the chat were kind of support related, that kind of stuff. So we might either in the future have people from other departments come in and to be able to address those, or we'll just have the product team have an office hour. So look for we want to make more opportunities to engage and address any questions in a live scenario like this. So product might have their own office hours similar to this in the future, or we might invite them to join this one, which would obviously be a little bit faster moving forward, something like that. But I saw a lot of the questions. We appreciate those questions and that feedback, because it lets us know what are everybody most curious about, and who can we bring in to bring the most value to everybody as quickly as possible. Again, all about systems for me. But I just wanted to address that there will be some changes and some different perspectives, and be able to address some of the questions we weren't able to get to in this meeting. But Harry or Dan, you guys want to put a bow on it, as I know we're over time? Who wants to wrap up?
I want to go last.
Oh, geez. I guess Harry has something ready. Well, yeah. Thanks, everybody. It was a good conversation. A lot of chatting there. So it was long too, hour and 10 minutes. So, and a lot of people were there at the end. Usually the drop off is much sharper. So that was good. Thanks everybody for showing up. And again, you have a dedicated account manager for your advertising, and they would love to talk to you. I try to get them to talk to you guys, but sometimes they're not as, so talk to them. Like, call your account manager, and they will set up the conversation with your advertising manager. So there's benefits to that.
That's a huge benefit of CINC, is we have an actual team of 15 people who all we do all day, every day, is run ads for real estate on search and social. People that are like in the Atlanta area, in the office, working together and collaborating. I don't know that competitors have that. And, I think the way that we're structured, so we have the regional reps, that lets those reps know, like my favorite story is always our guy in California, my California guy, who now I'm picturing a surfer, um, who always would talk about, I believe it was Calabasas. We would never run ads in Calabasas for a time because that's where Justin Bieber lived and the Kardashians, I believe. So, if you had that in your campaign, you're getting a million 19-year-olds who are trying to see Kim Kardashian's house. So there is that regional expertise, but I also believe, and of course the expertise on search or social. But I think the clients that are most successful are the ones that are also lending us their expertise of their area and communicating with the marketing managers to let them know, what kind of property is hot right now, to quote Mugatu, or what price range is working, or what new community is people are really interested in. So I think the people that are getting the most out of CINC are also putting some into that, investing in that training that we've talked about, following up with the leads, taking the time to work with the marketing managers to optimize the campaign. So, please take that time. We're definitely here, and we don't exist without you. So we appreciate the crap out of you to give it a little. That's my bow. Those were my prepared remarks, but I do really, really, really appreciate everyone who signed up. If you found value from this, please let someone else know, and let us know in the NPS comments so we can, be positively patted on the head by Alvaro. But And please do, we're going to do this every Wednesday, every second Wednesday of the month at 11 a.m. Eastern time. They will be recorded. Please, please sign up. Please come if you found it valuable. Please submit your questions so we can be able to assist you in the most efficient way possible. And yeah, I'm really excited for this. I love the opportunity to chat with you guys and understand more of what's going on, and to give you guys the viewpoint that we have too. So thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you for being a CINC client. Again, we love you and we appreciate you, even the ones that hate Facebook. So I hope that I hope that you guys have a great day, and yeah, we'll see you next month. Thank you so much. See you later.